We're about to have a really important conversation all about your avatar and who you're speaking to. In fact, I think if you implement what you're about to hear on this podcast, you could quite literally double your income this year. And so buckle up, it's going to be really good. Now, before we get into it, I want to give a shout out to my book. I've had so many people share with me, write to me, and just share and say how powerful my one presentation away book has been in their life. I wanted to read just one review. This is from Mila. I haven't met Mila, so thank you so much. She's from the United States. She said, the book was a really good surprise for me. It's full of useful ideas, and Colin doesn't write like some perfect guru on a big stage. He shares his own fears, his what is wrong with me moments, and it feels very honest and human. Well, that's good because a human wrote it, by the way. It's not written by AI. I actually wrote it. And the way he explains how to build one powerful presentation is very clear. After reading the book, speaking and selling from stage doesn't feel so scary or pushy anymore. It feels like something you can actually learn and do step by step. I finally understand how one talk can lead people naturally to your offer. I am excited to start working on my first presentation. Yeah, Mila, shout out to Mila. So if you haven't grabbed my book, please do. And I think it's on sale right now on Amazon, especially in the US. It was like 60% off this week. So go and check it out. I'll put a link in the show notes, but you can just jump onto Amazon. It's probably the easiest way to grab it, or wherever you grab books. But I know it was on sale on Amazon, and just search one presentation away book and grab it. Grab the hard copy. You'll love it. It's I'm really proud of it. I put everything that I knew over the years of building, making millions of dollars, selling from stage and working with people to do the same thing. I put it into the book, and I've just had so many people give me feedback of like, it's so enjoyable, easy to read, really helpful, really useful. So I'd really appreciate that. And if you do get a chance to leave a review, if you have read the book and you haven't left an Amazon review, please do. And if you do leave a review, take a screenshot of the review on Amazon and send it to me in Instagram. Just to take a screenshot on your phone or a photo of it, whatever it is, send it to me in Instagram, just at Colin Boyd, and I'll send you a little gift to say thank you for leaving a review. It's a program we normally sell for $197, and I'll send it to you completely complimentary if you leave a review for me. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. So go and grab the book, one presentation away. I put my heart and soul into it, and I know you'll find it valuable. So let's get into today's conversation, all about up-leveling your avatar. Hey, it's Colin, and you are listening to the Expert Edge podcast. I was a professional speaker for over a decade, and now I focus on helping coaches, speakers, and course creators to speak and sell on virtual and live stages. The Expert Edge podcast is weekly content focused on helping you build your expert business. We cover marketing, storytelling, sales, communication skills, and so much more. Thanks for taking the time to tune in, and make sure you subscribe and follow us on all our social channels so you don't miss a thing. Let's listen to today's episode. So I wanted to share some insights today that I have not heard talked about often. And it is a conversation that can be the difference between you making 6 figures and making 7 figures. It's the difference between you working with clients that you really enjoy and working with clients that are a real struggle and a pain to work with, right? And now this is not always the case, but I will say that this one thing that I'm about to share with you today and go deep into can make a massive difference. In fact, I've had experiences where when I didn't understand who I was speaking with when it came to a presentation or making an offer or growing the business, when I didn't understand who the audience was and there wasn't a match between the offer, the audience, and the message, my presentations flunked. Like they didn't perform how I wanted them to be. I remember one time I was standing in front of an audience, and this was a presentation that I had delivered before and made a lot of money from. In fact, several weeks before, I'd spoken for an event, and we did about $91,000, $92,000 in sales in half an hour. I did an in-person presentation at a conference. We made an offer, and I got paid about $91,000. And by the way, I got paid for the keynote to do the presentation, and I got paid plus the 91,000. Now here's the juicy bit is 2 weeks later I did the same presentation to, it was a smaller audience, but they were a completely different audience. And I made the presentation and made the offer, same presentation, same offer, and I made like $4,000. And I was thinking, what is wrong with this? And I realized there was nothing wrong with the presentation. There was nothing wrong with the offer. I just didn't understand the avatar, and I was speaking in front of a different avatar. And so the conversation I want to have today is really about how you define your avatar, or the person you're speaking to, your client, right? Your customer. And this is a conversation that I have a lot with my elite members, which is our group coaching program, and even my platinum members, which is our high level mastermind. And so this conversation, I think, is going to be really powerful, really pertinent, because if you can adjust who you're speaking to, sometimes you don't even necessarily have to change the product, but you just end up making more money and sales become a lot easier. So here's the thing, is that the thing I want you to realize is the price you charge is based less on what you do and more on who you serve. I'll say that again. The price you charge is based less on what you do and more on who you serve. I'll give an example. We have an incredible woman in our platinum program, and she works on emotional releases in people's lives, like processing emotions and releasing kind of emotional blocks in their body, in their lives, right? That does like really deep kind of metaphysical work with them. She's amazing at what she does. Her background, she's actually a doctor. And now that type of work, emotional work, right? If you do that as a psychologist or a practitioner, right, the most you're going to get paid is maybe per hour, probably $350, $250, $350, which is still great, right? But she signs people on for $50,000 packages to work with them for a couple of months. And because the person who she's calling in, the person who she's speaking with, is an up-leveled avatar. And so what I'm saying here is that you can have a service that you might say, oh, people just don't pay for it. And I want to challenge that and say, no. Or you might say, oh, people don't pay much for that. And I want to challenge that and say, no. It's the people you're speaking to that don't pay much for that. Now, I will say, if you can combine a very pertinent, powerful, valuable problem with an up-leveled avatar, a high-level avatar, then you've got like really premium experiences and premium prices. And here's the thing, is that one of the things that I realized with having success in my life is that sometimes it has less to do with my product, less to do with my service, less to do with my message, and more to do with who I'm serving. Now, it's easy to focus on the lowest level person. And now I'll say this in context. My philosophy of everyone in life is everyone has the same value. Everyone is built and born with value built. Everyone is born with value, right? I believe as a human being, everyone has the same value. And from a marketplace perspective, there are some people who are more resourceful, wouldn't you agree? Have more money, have more income, have more assets, have more drive. And because of those aspects about their personality or their life or their experience or what they've got, they are able to pay you a lot more money to solve a problem. That's what we're saying here, right? And so the easiest thing to do is to focus on the lowest common denominator, which is beginners. Now, there's nothing wrong with serving beginners. I have lots of people who make a lot of money serving beginners. The problem is people usually in the beginning stages have less access to resource. And so these beginners, they're starting out, they're early in their journey, they're excited, which is great. But the problem is they're doing all these foundational things. I just had a lady join our platinum group, which is my highest level group. And on the conversation, she said to me, she said, Colin, I just wanted to ask, because I was in a I was in a high level program several years ago, and she said, like, it was a good program overall, but the problem is the people in the group were asking questions like, so what's an opt-in? Like, how do we do, what's a lead magnet? What does a lead magnet look like? And she said, I'd paid, a solid investment to be a part of a high level group, or what I thought was a high level group. And they were asking all these, foundational basic questions. Now, there's nothing wrong with those basic questions, but those questions shouldn't be in that group, if you know what I mean, right? And so she was kind of saying that there was a mismatch of, this person had basically sold kind of beginners into a supposedly high level program, and people weren't at that level. And so there was a mismatch, and she left that experience feeling like, I don't want to rejoin. Like, she didn't re-sign with that person. And she wasn't like, bitter or angry about it. It was more just like, I don't want to have that experience again, right? And so this concept of who you're focused on is really important. Now, here's the thing so the problem with focusing on beginners is that they have less resources. And as a generalization, they're usually less resourceful. They have less resourcefulness, because the reason why they're beginners, or the reason why they're not at a certain level, is because a lot of the time they have not learnt the internal mechanisms to move past discomfort, to move past the hard things, to solve the foundational problems. And so they're still dealing with these foundational problems. So in essence, they're actually less resourceful. Usually people who are more resourceful end up scaling up their business faster, because they've learnt the internal mechanisms of what it means to be more resourceful. Now, one of the I think easy things about focusing on beginners is because we all have this fear, which is, who am I to coach a high level person? Because you might be thinking, I'm not high level yet in what I'm doing. Like, maybe you feel like you're at the beginning stages of something. But here's the thing I want you to realize is, if you can be really good at solving a specific problem and really crap at lots of other areas of your life. So, for example, you might be really good at resolving family conflict, but really bad at running a business. And so don't compare yourself to someone who's really good at running a business and really bad at resolving family conflict. Does that make sense? So, because a lot of the times you'll be really good at a specific skill. Like, for example, this resolving family conflict, right? Imagine you are an expert at resolving family conflict. That is a very valuable skill, a very valuable problem for someone who's earning $1 million or more in their business, or in their maybe in their role. Maybe they're a CEO and they're having a lot of family challenges because of the demands, the stress, the what work is requiring of them. And so don't compare your success or how much money you're making with the client you're wanting to serve. Is this making sense? So this fear comes up, which is, who am I to coach someone at a certain level? I will be honest with you. The people I coach earn more money than me. And we run a really great, really profitable business, right? A multi-million-dollar business. But I coach people who make more money than me. I coached someone recently, this lovely lady, and I worked together with her on a presentation that she was doing. It was like an online presentation I launched for, and she did over $3 million in 7 days. And it was the content that I built for her to present to do over 3 million. I've never done $3 million in 7 days, right? Big whoopee. Big whoopee. What does that even mean? I'm like, I've never done $3 million, but I still felt really confident to coach her on her presentation, because the skills that I have in the hands of, I'm going to call them a stallion, and I'll come back to this in a minute. The skills that I have, if I put those reins on a stallion, they are going to run a race like they've never ran before. I don't have to be a stallion to coach a stallion. And this is getting super weird. So the concept, I was actually sharing this in our premium private client cohort that I'm hosting at the moment recently. And a lot of feedback came back from people saying this was really valuable. So I'm going to share it with you here because I think it's useful. Is when you're coaching high level people, you have to see yourself as a whisperer, as like a horse whisperer. And it's this concept of, I think it was this famous story of this guy who was this kind of famous trainer. And there was this, it was actually an Indian horse. It was racing in the Indian horse races. And it was this beautiful stallion. It was well built. It was doing okay, but they hired this particular horse whisperer, and he came in and basically turned the stallion into this, one of the most winningest stallions of all time. And it's this concept of, just because he wasn't a jockey, he wasn't a horse, he was the whisperer. He gets in the ear of the horse and he whispers and shows and directs what the horse needs to do to win. Because his specialty is in the technique, his specialty is in the direction, his specialty is in the strategy, and it doesn't necessarily mean that he's necessarily ran that particular race at that level. And so it's kind of like you look at the Olympics, like look at an Olympic coach. How many Olympic coaches have won gold medals? Probably very few. Now, some, yes, but very few. How many, football coaches have won premierships? Probably very few. Now, some have, yes, absolutely. But does that necessarily mean that they're going to be the best coach? Not at all, right? And so I want you to realize that coaching someone is also a different skill than doing it. And so you can be really good at coaching someone and not necessarily doing it at the level that they're doing it or at the exposure level that they're doing it. So what tends to happen is when you're coaching stallions, when you're coaching premium clients, a lot of the time their exposure level and usually their nervous system is usually more adept to handling risk than yours is. And so this is one thing I want you to realize. Like, for example, I work with people and they will spend $500,000 to $800,000 in ads in a 2 to 3 week period to do a promotion. And for me, I've never spent that amount of money. So their ability to handle exposure and risk is greater than my ability currently to handle exposure and risk. And so what I mean is that they are, like, a lot of the time, they're just built different, if that makes sense. But my skills in the hands of a premium client, in the hands of a stallion, can run the race of their life. And so does this making sense? I hope this is resonating. And so rather than thinking, I can't coach that person because I haven't achieved what they've achieved, see it as you're the whisperer that's going to whisper and direct them, right? So what are some things you can think about when you're up-leveling your avatar? Number one is their income. So usually a high-level avatar earns significant money compared to the regular person. So think of it like a bell curve. They're going to sit in the top, 5%, maybe higher, sometimes 2 to 1% of income earners in the country. So they're going to be high income earners, right? Number two, maybe they're like high experience. They've been in business. They've been in the area that you're working with in for longer than 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, right? So their experience level could be a distinguisher. Their status level, do they have status in the community? Maybe they're a politician. Maybe they're a CEO, right? So think about the level of status that they have. Maybe they're a board member, they're a director. So the status level is something. Another one is just resources. Maybe they just have access to a trust. Maybe they have access to a fund. Maybe they have access to family wealth, right? That can be a part of it as well. So these are the things that I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about up-leveling the avatar. Now, something that is very strategic is this last thing, which is they are going to have different problems, usually different problems at a bigger level than beginner level clients. And so the final piece around up-leveling your avatar, which is, I mentioned, income, experience, status level, resources, the final piece is problems. So in other words, the problem that they're having is going to be different to problems that beginner people are having. And so when you think about up-leveling your avatar, you want to think, what are the problems that a high-level person would be experiencing? I'll give you an example. For me, a beginner is not experiencing the problem of they've got a lot of clients stuck at a certain level in their funnel. So they might have 100 plus clients stuck at the foundations level in their program, and then they're struggling to upgrade people. That's a problem for someone who already has got, a good amount of clients. So if I'm starting out and saying, do you want to get your first client? Getting your first handful of clients is going to be a beginner level problem. But if I'm speaking to someone who's already got hundreds of clients and they're struggling to move them up through the funnel, move them up through the programs that they have, can you see that? That's a different problem. And so for me, the way that I solve that is through what I call conversion events. That's something we teach in Elite, right? Elite and Platinum. I don't teach conversion events in Sell from Stage, because Sell from Stage, our kind of curriculum, is our foundation problems, right? It's now I'll say this, a lot of people have joined it who do multi-6 and even multi-7 figures and use it to scale up. But I don't solve that problem in Sell from Stage. I solve that problem in Elite. So it's for people who already have clients. Now, not everyone in Elite has hundreds of clients, but it's usually people who join Elite, always they've got clients. They've got some clients, right? They've got momentum in their business. They're wanting to start to grow it and really scale it up. Another problem, maybe you've got a really large following. You've gone viral on social media. You've got a large following and you've got an offer, but it's just not converting at the level that you want it to. So this is a conversion problem, but it's for someone who's got a really large following. So you feel like the potential of what you could be making is nowhere near what you're actually making. I had a client reach out to me recently and he blew up on TikTok and on Instagram, millions of followers. And we've started to do some work around building out high converting presentations for him. So this concept of like they've got a different problem at a higher level is what we need to focus on. And so I want you to think about, what is the problem that people have on the next level? So maybe it is, excuse me, maybe it is team problems, right? People don't have team problems unless they've got a business that is at a certain level. And maybe it's number of team problems. So it might be for people who have more than 3 people on their team or 5 people. People have high level problems like profitability problems when they're scaling. Profitability is a problem as you scale. Scaling problems, right? System problems is a big one. Market leadership, like owning market leadership, can be a problem. So all of these things are higher level problems that people have when they're beginning. So it's going to be different for you. So I want you to think about, what are the higher level problems that someone is having, and this will help you to up level your avatar. They're going to have they're also going to have these different desires as well at a high level. They're going to have different desires of income. So outcomes that they're looking for is going to be different. They're going to have different desires of income, different desires of status. So for people in my Platinum program, one of the big focuses is them owning their market leadership in their niche, like them becoming the go-to person, the number one person. Do you know what's interesting? I've had multiple people apply to join my programs and apply to work with me at a really high level, like our private level, which is my highest level offering. I've had this happen multiple times through them searching on ChatGPT and on Claude of trying to find out who's the best person to work with to build a presentation that can scale, that can convert, and is non-pushy and authentic, etc. So selling from a presentation. And guess whose name came up? You're listening to him right now. Now, what's interesting is I haven't even optimized for AI yet. Like, we haven't even implemented that, but it's already showing up. And so for me, this is just one indicator of market leadership in my niche. Now, obviously, if you search what are the top business coaches in the world, I'm not going to show up because that's not my niche. But if you, now I consider myself still a business coach, but in terms of the niching, the messaging of what I'm focused on, it's different. And so this is just one example of what people in my platinum level, that's a big focus because they've already usually got, well, not usually, they always have a bunch of clients. Like they've got thousands of followers. Many of them have thousands of clients already. Some of them, they're already doing over 300, 400. Most of them are doing $500,000, $600,000 in their business already. And some of them even doing $1 million already in their business. And so they're going to have different problems than people who join a foundational program of mine, like Conversion Story Formula, which is just $47, right? It's a storytelling product. It's for everyone and anyone who wants to do it. It's an entry-level product. And that's going to be a different problem that I'm solving at Platinum or even at Elite. So Elite it's still foundations, but it's foundations of growth, right? So it's people who've got momentum. They've got some clients in their business. They've got an offer. It's converting. It's working, but they're really wanting to. They want to move from scattered in their marketing approach because they're doing a whole bunch of things into a more simplified, scalable system, and they want to use speaking to do that. So they want to run virtual events, presentations, workshops, speaking, all that sort of stuff. And they want to use a leverage way to scale up their business, right? And so it is growing and scaling the business. And most people don't have a big team at that level. They might have one person, right? Where in the platinum, they usually got 2 or 3 people already on their team members. They're not necessarily wanting to grow it, but they're wanting to systemize it. So they're different problems. Is this making sense? So I want you to think about, for you, what are the problems that people are having at different levels in their business? For me, in my platinum level, they usually have enough income across their months to not feel like, 1 month is going to be so bad they can't pay their bills, and the next month is going to be like mind-blowing. Where at Elite, a lot of the time it's very inconsistent, right? Because even at $100,000, you might have a month that you make $3,000 and the next month you make $20,000. So it's like up and down. They want to create more stability in their systems because they don't have usually enough lead flow, and they don't have something that is converting consistently. So they want to build that consistency and stability in their business to be able to scale up. And so just different problems. And so I want you to think about, for you, what are the problems that people are having, right, in their business? So you've got to have, the big purpose of today is to think about what are the problems that premium clients are having for you. And I want you to identify what's a product that would be a good fit for them, because not everyone is going to join your program at that level. But it's great to have a product that would be a great service, a great product, a great platform for them to join, because usually they won't join regular programs. They will join specific programs built for them. And so I wanted to just kind of, explore today for you. I trust this has been value to explore, what does an up-leveled avatar look like for you? And are you focusing only on the lowest level denominator, like beginners? With nothing wrong with beginners. And the problem is they usually don't have access to as much resources. They're less resourceful, and you've got to go with volume. So you can have less volume and make a lot more money if you focused on more premium clients. Now, if you've resonated with this content and you are running a well-established expert business, and you would love to be in a group, an intimate room of high-level experts who are doing $300,000 plus, most of our clients are doing way more than that, then you should come and check out Platinum. Platinum is our high-level group mastermind experience where I facilitate really breakthroughs for people to go from multi-6 to 7 And if you want to go to multi-seven, like multi-seven figures, my goal is, and I will say this, my philosophy is I'm not trying to help people to build a $20 million business. That's not necessarily my philosophy. My philosophy is build a 7 or multi-seven figure business, usually multi-seven, around $2 to $3 million is a good point, with a handful of employees. Keep it profitable, keep it agile, keep it small, and keep your lifestyle. That for me is my goal. So if you want to build a multi-8-figure business, that's your vision, I'm probably not your guy. If you want to build something that is highly profitable, like think 2 to 3 million, highly profitable, highly agile, highly nimble, less complex lifestyle, I'm your guy, right? That's what we do. And that's what we do in Platinum. So we take people from who've got established businesses to building that type of business. So if you're interested in that, you can just go to colinboyd.co/platinum, and there'll be a short application, and just put in your application. And if I feel like you are a good fit, and then I'll jump on a call and we can just have a chat about what the next steps looks like. So guys, thank you so much for being a part of the Expert Edge. Appreciate y'all. And we'll speak to you guys really soon. Bye for now.